everybody, and welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some apricot scones or scones, and I'm doing this because it's a very simple recipe and today is very warm. It's just over 30 degrees here at the moment, so I don't need to be spending a lot of time baking and increasing the heat in the house. So I'm going to do a small batch which will fit in my toaster oven, which is the little oven that I have on the counter, and it will bake 5 or 6 of these scones, I think 5 probably, very easily. So that's what I'm going to do, but you could actually double the recipe and you could make 10 to 12, it's entirely up to you. You could make more if you change the size as well, of course, but a very simple recipe. And the thing to do is to start off by preheating the oven to 220 degrees Celsius. That's 200 Celsius with a fan, 425 Fahrenheit. And so I'll go on to the ingredients. And for this I have 225 grams, which is 1.5 cups, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 10 grams, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 40 grams, 3 tablespoons plus half a teaspoon of sugar, 40 grams, 3 tablespoons minus half a teaspoon of cold unsalted butter, which I've cut into cubes, 125 millilitres, half a cup plus 1 teaspoon of evaporated milk. You could use just milk, but I'm giving extra richness with evaporated milk. I have 60 grams, just between a quarter and a third of a cup of soft dried apricots, which I've cut into small pieces, 1 medium egg, which would be large in the USA, and I also have another egg which I've beaten and added a little bit of salt into. That's going to be used for brushing the top of the scones before they bake. I also have half a teaspoon, 2.5 millilitres of lemon extract. If you don't have lemon extract or orange extract, if you wanted to use that, you could use the zest of a lemon or the zest of an orange, just to give that little bit of citrusy flavour to go with the apricots. So the first thing we need to do is to rub the butter into the flour, and I'm going to rub it with the sugar and the baking powder as well, until we have a fine sort of breadcrumb-like texture. Now for ease, I'm going to do that in the small processor bowl of my immersion blender. So I'm going to put the flour in and the baking powder and the sugar, and then I'm just going to give that a little pulse or two to get those ingredients combined. And that's good enough. And so then I'm going to add in my butter, and I'm going to pulse that until I get those fine breadcrumbs that I was mentioning. So I'll just mix the butter into the flour, get it coated like that, and then I'll pulse it and process it until I have that texture. And that's good enough like that. So the next thing to do is to put that into a larger bowl so that I can add the other ingredients. And with the flour in the bowl like that, I'm going to pour in most of my evaporated milk. I'm going to hold back a couple of tablespoons because I may not need all of it. And then I'm going to add my egg and my lemon extract, and I'm going to mix that around, and at this stage I'm also going to put in my apricots, and I want to mix it until it's a nice moist shaggy dough. If I need to add more milk I will. And so to get that mixed in, I'm going to use a spatula so that I can scrape the sides of the bowl. And I'm just going to add just a little drop more milk, not a lot. And I think that's probably good enough. So then I need to tip that out onto a floured work surface. And I've floured my work surface quite heavily. So I'm just going to squeeze that mixture together like that. I don't want to overwork it. So with that like that, I've formed that into a sort of rectangle, and I'm going to fold it over, press it down, turn it 90 degrees and do the same again. In fact, I'm going to do the same 3 more times. So that's 2 folds, and again, that's 3 folds, and that's 4. And then I'm going to press that out into a thickness of about 1 inch. Like that. So that's about 1 inch. And I'm going to take a cutter which is 70 millimeters, which is 2 3/4 inches, and I'm going to simply press it straight down like that, and I'll do the same again there, and I'll push that out, and that can go onto my baking tray. And then I'm going to simply push the dough together without kneading it. And again, shape that to about 1 inch thick and continue cutting out. And so I have 6, and the ones which you squeeze together and then cut out may not rise in quite the same way, but that's fine. So then I'm going to take my beaten egg and I'm just going to brush the top. I don't want to go down the side, so I don't want to put too much on. And I won't waste this egg, I will freeze it and use it another time for another egg wash. And that's all there is to it basically. So my oven is preheating, and these are then ready to go into the oven as soon as the oven has come to temperature, and I will bake them for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes they'll be baked, and I'll take them out and put them on a wire rack, and when they've cooled down I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the apricot scones for 15 minutes and they baked very nicely. A couple of those which I squeezed together cracked a little bit on the top, but as I said, those ones never turn out particularly well, but they're good enough. They're perfectly fine for eating. So this is what they look like, and as you can see I've cut one in half just so I can show you the inside, and you can see the apricot pieces in there as well, and it's got a nice texture. And I've put some butter and some apricot jam. I would have used cream if I had cream, but I don't have any at the moment. So I'll have a taste of this one with the butter and the apricot jam. Has that lovely texture that scones have, and the fruitiness. Even without the apricot jam they would still be fruity because of the apricot that's in them. And I'll just taste just a piece of the scone without the jam. I just wanted to check that I do get the Sicilian lemon extract coming through as well. So very, very good, and it's very easy to make. So on a hot day like today, if you fancy baking something but don't want the oven on for hours, these can be done in 15 minutes in the oven. So that's going to be it for this recipe, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.